Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Shalom Aleichem. How are you? What's your name? Netanel Cohen. Shalom Aleichem. Today's shir is sponsored by Yaakov and Seton Smith in honor of my wife's birthday and in appreciation of her devotion and hard work in taking care of our home and family. Are you the tzaddik? Rabbi Isai, start. We got to get back to that old minhag. Celebrating wife's birthdays, anniversaries. Lezech nishmas Rav Kalman Yaakov Arya ben Rav Zev Doiv. Rav Kalman Halpern by his grandchildren, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren on his 10th Yartzeight. And in honor of Yoel Eliyahu Bergman, we call him the CEO. On the occasion of his graduation, may you go, michayil el chayil, sponsored by his proud parents and siblings. Psh. Dr. Mazenkis is in the house. Wow, it's a big treat for me. Psh, goyach. Yossi Koningsberg, I love this kid. Dear Rebelli, I've been loving your Daf Yomi shir since Brachas, and I have not missed a daf. Yesterday I graduated 8th grade. They gave out a Gashmius book. See attached photo. P.S. I also wanted a psak on whether MDY membership expires. Just in case, I sent an email about a year ago since the previous one. Thank you for an inspiring and vibrant shir. This is an 8th grader. Zalman Yosef Koningsberg, Washington Heights. Now, the MDY membership never expires. It's like a pilot's license. I cannot fly a plane now unless I go for a little bit of a check ride, it's called, and a little bit of whatever, but it never expires, never. Look at this Gashmius book he's talking about. Look at the Hana you just gave of Nachman Seltzer, the author himself, a living legend. Everybody's talking about this book. It's right here, the living legend. Now I put these arrows here. First of all, he has Uri Ben Mattisyahu right over here on the couch, which Mrs. Bergman from Chicago spends a lot of time. Yoel, the CEO's mother. Here you have in his ear, you can see he's wearing headphones because he doesn't want to disturb his family when he listens to the shir. And of course, he's listening to the shir but reading Nachman Seltzer's book. It's kind of like the shir. Whatever. It's the shir. That's basically what you're doing when you're listening to the shir. You listen to a little bit of me, a little bit of him. It's a mix. Okay, Givaldic. Next, listen to this. This one actually. Early in the morning, I hope nobody's watching me through because you could see like into my room where I was literally on the floor, maybe because it's so early in the morning. I don't know. Dear Rebelli, I'm a big listener to share. The name of this email is called Mokim Shabali Tshuva Oimdim Ein Tzadikim Gemurim. As you know, I'll say a joke even if it's on the account of my wife or whatever. So certainly I can make jokes about Bali Tshuva. I love Bali Tshuva. I was very instrumental in making some Bali Tshuva. I worked for or Sameach, I went on mentor missions and all this stuff. So, Bekitzer, I shouldn't say I worked for them, but a part of a big program that they had. But listen, Bali Tshuva, like anything else, Litvaks, Hasidim, Bali Tshuva. I only get to listen through Torah anytime, so I'm not zoichet to the live shir, but I truly enjoy every minute of the shir. Thank you, and may Hashem continue granting you koiches to be Marbis Torah ad bias goyel tzedik b'meheira. Advad bichlal, he writes in parentheses. I wanted to add to the joke you made the other day about the Kohen. I love this one. You're not even going to laugh. It was just because it was early I was tired. There was one Baal Tshuva that was a Levi, and he made a Pidyon Ben. In middle, the rabbi said to him, "You're a Levi. You're not supposed to make a Pidyon Ben." The father answered, "No one told me that by my last 2 kids, Pidyon Ben." Wow. Cool. Yosef Biliak is a Levi, or maybe he's not, as we're talking. And he says that his older brother had a Pidyon Ben. It's just another raya to what we're talking about. Do we have another minute? Not really. This is a long one. Oh, tonight there's a big barbecue in New York. If you haven't signed up, don't show up. By Yossi Klein, he has over 50. I have no idea. Yesterday was 50s, maybe more now. So Bezer Hashem, and I still didn't prepare a speech. Thanks for all the different Torah people are sending in that have no connection to the speech at all. Okay, Givaldic. This is a long one. I can't read a long email like this. Should I say zip through it? Okay. First of all, I want to thank you for all the time ever you put into shir. I've gone from being someone who never considered learning Daf Yomi to someone who looks forward to his shir every day. I'm actually looking into going to Yartzeight right after the 9 days for about a week. If I do go, I really want to experience attending the shir live as well. He's coming after the 9 days. Guess when I'm leaving? After the 9 days. I'm going to America the day after. I'm actually staying a week more than my whole family just to be here for the beginning of Sukkah and everything else. That's when my son's wedding is. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be there. He'd love to meet me face to face. Until which day? Wow. Thank you, give a share MDY before you travel. Then he says, Arichas, but he wants to go see Reb Chaim Kanievsky. Do we have a good idea? I think the best Rabbi Pesen, who's a tremendous Talmid Chacham, the money goes to a great, great person. He's brought me into Reb Chaim Kanievsky a number of times. I think you should use him because he's not one of these. He's a guy that learns Yoma v'layla. Literally sends out emails of learning at 4 a.m. every single morning. He's a tremendous Talmid Chacham and he could use the part also. I'm sure I'll have questions about going around. Mazel tov on your family's upcoming simcha. I hope to get the opportunity to see you next month. Regards, Baruch Kassel. Yishkoyach Baruch. I wish people would tell me where they live and maybe even send a picture or two. All right, here we go. Gewaldige Geschmacke Daf today. Today is Daf Samach Zayin. And we are holding a little bit where we're not supposed to be holding on Daf Samach Vav and Beis. And we're holding like by the wide line. First wide line. Omer Rav Yehuda. Shiftoi shel Levi loy ovad avedis kechavim. The entire Shevet Levi did not worship the Egel. Shenemar vayamoid Moshe b'shar hamachana v'goymer. I love when the Gemara says v'goymer because sometimes it doesn't say v'goymer. But obviously if it says v'goymer, you need to see the rest of the pasuk because that's the main part. Vayamoid Moshe b'shar hamachana. The Gemara understands that you know these pasukim by heart. We won't tell them otherwise. Vayamer milas shem ilai v'yosvei love. Who came? He says, whoever didn't worship the Egel, come to me. Who? Kol b'nei Levi. Every single person from Levi showed up. Get over here! You didn't go to the Egel? Unbelievable. Gewaldig. Yosef Biliak, you could stay in your seat. You two guys.
We didn't have a vision of that.
You did not, yes. All right. Yosef Ravina v'kamelo shmaitzo. Esvei b'nei Rapapa barabel Ravina. So they had a murder to get kasha. How could that be that Bnei Levi didn't do it? It says the famous pasuk. It says, "It's ban of lehikir, kishomer musecha, ruslin tzayru." It says that Bnei Levi they acted with cruelty to revenge Hashem's honor, and they killed their own father and sons. In other words, their own father, a Levi, worshipped the Egel, got killed by his son, and somebody's son worshipped the Egel. He had to kill his own son. Says the Gemara, you didn't understand the pasuk. They're talking about, yes, they had to act in cruelty, but they killed their stepfather, they killed their they killed a grandfather, a brother that's a half brother, all Yisraelim though. Aviv Avi Imo Yisrael. It's his grandfather, his mother's father, who's Yisrael. Echav Imo Yisrael. His mother's married once before, so it's a half brother. He's Yisrael. Banav. What does it mean, his own sons? B'nei Bitom Yisrael. His grandson, who happens to be a Yisrael. V'kevesh Asu. And there was a great ramp that they built from the entrance of the Beis HaMikdash all the way to where they threw this goat off the mountain. What was the point? The point is that these Bavlim would pull the hair out of L'chayr, the Kayin, although there's a Taisus Rid that says that they would pull the hair out of the goat. Okay, either way, Pashup Pshat is that they pulled it out of the Kayin. Don't say that they're from Bavel. I guess this problem started a long time ago, where the Ashkenazim from Eretz Yisrael said, these Bavlim, these Sephardim dudes. So you should know that they weren't Bavlim. They were Alexandrian from Mitzrayim. They hated them. Anybody they hated, anybody that did something not very nice, they would say, you're probably a Bavel, you're a Sephardi guy. Tanya Rabbi Yedoimer, loy Bavlim hoyu el Alexandrim hoyu. Omer loy Rabbi Yoisi tanuch daitcho shinachtes daiti. I'm Sephardi, and I was very worried that my mishpacha wasn't acting correctly. They go and they chop. A guy is trying to do the avodah, not a real avodah, but he's trying to do a performance of Yom Kippur, bringing the goat to the cliff, and all you can do is pull out his hair. It's wrong. Baruch Hashem, it's not from my mishpacha, it's from Alexandria. Toil would say, what would they tell him? Go, let's go, get going. What are you schlepping your feet? You're walking like a turtle. Tanam, they would tell him, my shayit sefira dain. What are you just you're taking your time with this goat? There's so many averes that the dar has. What are you taking your time? The official Mishnah, sponsored in honor of the entire MDY team. This guy, this Ish Iti that we discussed yesterday, special guy, he's, according to the Medrash, he doesn't last the entire year, he dies during that year. They found a guy that Nebuch is not going to live, and he's a very specific person that has this job of bringing the goat all the way to the cliff. But the very chashav of people of Yerushalayim would walk him. So from Yerushalayim, they would walk till a booth, a sukkah that they built so that people could stay there and continue walking him. Says the Mishnah, and we're going to see in the Gemara 3 shitas. Says the Mishnah, Eser sukkahs Yerushalayim batzuk. There were 10 sukkahs from Yerushalayim until the cliff. So, Tishim ris. They were 90 ris. How much is a ris? So, a ris is, as the Mishnah says, Shiva umechza l'chol mil. A mil is 2,000 amma, divided by 7.5, because there's 7.5 ris in a mil. So, memela, you come out to 266 amma per ris. Why am I telling you this? Because it's very interesting. Ris is gematria 270. That's the closest you get to 266. So maybe that's why it's called a ris. It has 266 amma in it. If you want to remember how much a ris is. Shiva umechza l'chol mil. So now there are 12 mil. And each mil has 7.5 ris. So, and he says there's 10, right? There's 10 sukkahs. So, it works like this. This is Yerushalayim. You go 1 mil until you hit the sukkah, and then the people over here go 1 mil. 1 mil, you're allowed to walk Alpayim Amma on Shabbos, on Yom Kippur. You're allowed to walk Alpayim Amma. So 1 mil is Alpayim Amma. Go. There's not 10. I couldn't fit in 10. Don't count it exactly. For a total of 10 to the last sukkah, 10 mil. And then from the last sukkah to the cliff is 2 mil, which he does on his own. That's the sheet of Remeir, as we're going to see in the Gemara. The Gemara is going to explain. Every sukkah he gets to, it's like on a, if you ever did a bike ride or a marathon, every so often there's a booth and they hand out water as you pass by. So they give, it's Yom Kippur. Everybody's fasting. And they tell him, here's some water, here's some bread. Obviously he doesn't eat it or drink it. And they accompany him from one sukkah to the next sukkah. Besides the very last one. No one comes with him all the way to the cliff. What happens is they stand from a distance and they see what he's doing. Now, why don't they come all the way to the cliff? According to this shita, according to the others, they do go to the cliff. So in the Taisus Yishanim, he says, 2 pshatim. Either because the word gzeira, as we're going to see in the pasuk, means it's deserted. So it has to be a deserted place. If there are many people there, it's not deserted anymore. Another reason is because it says ish iti. He has to be alone, ish, by himself. So he had what? One of the 2 mil. Okay, one of the 2 mil. he had a red scarf, string, and he split it in half. Chetzioi, kosher, besela. One half, he cut this in half. One half he would tie to a rack over there. V'chetzei kosher bein shnei karnov, and the other half he tied it between his horns. So, Derech Agav, I saw that the Maharil Diskin, he brings from here a raya that the red string is not so much the avoida. It's not, do you have to do this? It's not in the pasuk. So he says that you could prove from here that a kesher shel kayama that is not so important that you don't want it to be there for life because it's going to fly off a cliff in a minute. Hold on, Avi. Then it's not considered kesher shel kayama. You're not over on making a permanent tie. Now, when I was a kid and I lived in Ramat Hanan in Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein's community, so Rabbi Zilberstein once took a vacation and he asked my father, who was like an up-and-coming star, they found out that Rav Shach learned with my father every single Motzei Shabbos, the whole story over there. He was a young guy. He said, maybe you could fill in for me when I'm gone. Who? He asked my father if he could give a speech, the Friday night speech that Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein, the famous, all the stories, all that. So my father said, yeah, and I'll never forget it. It was embarrassing. My father gets up there, he says, could you use diapers on Shabbos? That was the whole speech. That ticky-tack, is that considered kshira? And now, for the first time I see this thing, maybe when we're learning Chil Shabbos also, but somebody wants to bring a raya from this Maril Diskin. Since you're throwing the diaper in the garbage anyway, everybody throws it, so it's not a kesher shekayama, it's not something, even though it's a very strong knot, you don't really care because you're throwing it out, so it's not considered a kesher shekayama. Okay, fine. He pushes him backwards. So I have here, what's wrong with this picture that I made? Oh. Well, there will be a lot of rocks on the.
It's flying off a cliff.
It's a cliff. It's supposed to be a cliff. That's what we're seeing. It's at the bottom. You don't see it. Eventually it comes out. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So this is, where's the red string? Okay, good conscious. Very good conscious. This is Nachman Seltzer's kasha. He breaks up into pieces. Now he walks backwards the 2 mil until he gets to the sukkah, and he waits there until the end of Yantif, until the end of Yom Kippur. When do his begadim, the person who brings the goat, we know Torah says his clothing becomes tummy. Not only does he become tummy, but even his clothing becomes tummy. At what point? What would you say, misvara? Logically speaking, after you push him off, that's what I would say also. How do you become tummy by walking a goat? But no, there are 3 shittas here. As soon as you leave the wall of Yerushalayim, you become tummy. Over here we only see 2 of the shittas, and the Gemara is going to bring a 3rd one. When you push him off the cliff, tzuk, a cliff, a straight wall, that's when you become tummy. Ton Rabbanon, Eser Sukkos, Ushtemos or Milan Hoyu. So, the total, right over here, 12 mil, 10 sukkahs in between a sukkah and a sukkah, from Yerushalayim to the first sukkah is 1 mil, to the next sukkah is another mil. You do this 10 times, and when you finally get to the 10th sukkah, there's a 2 mil difference. They walk in 1 mil, they stay, and then he walks the 2nd mil by himself. Because of the Taisis Yishanim. We could get there. Of course he could get there. We don't want him to get there. Why? Because it has to be desolate. It has to be ish'iti. He has to be by himself. Yeah, they're there in the booths. Yes, that's how. Whatever it is, either they live there, either there's a yishuv, or they go to the booths. We'll see. Yeah, l'chayr they're sleeping there. They're camping out. This Motzei Shabbos Rabbi Isai in Dallas, Texas. There's a swim and pizza at 10 p.m. Live share at 11:15 p.m. at Larry Kozowski's, 5610 Willow Lane, Dallas, Texas. Unbelievable. Let's see how many people they could get together. Let me see you, Yeshua. Yeshua, get over here, Yeshua. You know what the happiest day of Yeshua's life was? Last night, when 30 jars of Folgers coffee showed up to Beis Medrash. He's been working for 3 years. Every time somebody goes to America, he says, "Can you bring me back one coffee? Just one coffee." He drives the guy me sugar for one coffee. Then he started purchasing it here in the store. Little ones, 90 cups for, I think it's almost $20. I told him, what are you crazy? In America, it costs $6. He found it here. Finally, somebody found it. Somebody found it in a far out place here in Israel for a very decent price, and they brought a whole mishloach. He has enough coffee to last for 4 or 5 months. Baruch Hashem. You should have seen the simcha. He's laughing. I thought he was on something. Like, what happened? I got coffee. It's like, okay. Tanur says the Gemara, okay, we just saw Remeir, there's 12 mil, 10 sukkahs. Rabbi Yudaimer, Teisha sukkahs, v'asara mil. Okay, that's easy to understand, but there's why not? 9, there's 10 mil total, not 12 like Remeir says, and 9 sukkahs. The same idea, you don't get to the end. Or you do get to the end. There's 9, you get to the 9th, and from here there's another mil. You walk him there. He doesn't hold the Taisis Yishanim that ish iti. Okay. Rabbi Yosi Yomer, Chomesh Sukkos, Va'asorim Milin Hayu. There's only 5 sukkahs. So how do you go from 5 sukkahs? How do you do 10 mil with 5 sukkahs? Very simple. We know the concept of Eruvei Techumin. So all you need to do is put a meal. So you go 1 mil. That's how you do it. You do 1 mil to the sukkah. Then you do another mil to your challah. Your challah is where you're going to reside on Shabbos. So all it does is you're allowed to go 2,000 amma in each direction from your house. So the challah becomes your new house. So you're allowed to go 2,000 amma this way and 2,000 amma this way. So you put the challah here, and that's how you go. 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, Panovich math, plus 1 equals 10. So Meila, that's how you get to 10. All you need is 5 sukkahs and 4 eruvei tchumen, and you're good to go. It's not the same people. Who says the same people? He, the kohen walking it, he's potter anyway. He could go without any sukkah. It's the people. That's what Yisachar was saying. The people. Why do you have a sukkah? Because they're residing here. They live here. Otherwise, just have challahs. You don't need a sukkah. The sukkah. People live here. What?
If he needs to drink on his journey, it should be there.
Yeah, and they give him drinks, they give him things. There's a whole welcoming committee. There's a little tent, a little shade. Okay. You're talking about again approximately 12 kilometers, 10 kilometers. It's a hike on Yom Kippur in the heat. Omer Rabbi Yosi, Sachli Elazar b'ni, my son made fun of me. He says, Ima yidei eruv. If you're already going that route and talking about an eruv, Yuchalni lasois afilu shtei sukkos v'asara milin. What are you talking about, Daddy? 5 sukkahs, eruvim. You're talking about eruv? I have a much better way. Here it is. 2 sukkahs, 4 mil to the first sukkah. Then from the second sukkah, from the first sukkah, the second sukkah, another 4 mil. And now you have people that put 2 eruvim in between the sukkah and Yerushalayim. You're allowed to go 1 mil to the challah, and from the challah another mil, that's 2. And they stop in this middle, right over here. That's it. In the center, they're going to stop going. So the guy from this sukkah who resided here overnight, he has 2 mil this way. The guy in Yerushalayim has 2 mil that way. That's a total of 4. And then you do the same exact thing. Repeat. Copy and paste. Repeat right over here. So it's 4 plus 4 mil. That's 8. And then from here to the tzuk, to the cliff, is another 2 mil. Total of 10. Daddy, I don't have. If you're already playing games with Eruvin, I have a much simpler way. 2 sukkahs, all these Eruvim. You want to check it out here. Look at it by yourself. I see you're contemplating it. Okay. Says the Gemara. But basically, he was joking with him, says Rashi. It doesn't make sense. 10 sukkahs, you need a lot of water. There's a lot of things. You want to stretch and use a ruvim? We're not using a ruvim. We're going with a lot of boots. It's a long journey. You need at least 10 tents. What are you trying to get away with tents here? I need all the tents I can get. Who does it go? This one shita that they don't accompany him all the way to the cliff. Kalman, Meir goes like Meir. Meir says that there's a total of 12 mil. We get him all the way to 10 mil. There's a sukkah all the way by 10, and there they walk in 1 mil, and they let him go on his own 1 mil. And it makes sense what your Gemara over there says, the Masifta, that they walked in 1. It's probably Rashi that I missed, but because how else do they see? I mean, it's kind of far. So 1 mil I can understand, 2 mil kind of difficult. Alkol sukkah v'sukkah imrim leharei mozayin v'harei mayim. Tana. Nobody ever drank on Yom Kippur. It's just bringing back memories from Yitzchak Zilberstein's shul. I drank on Yom Kippur after my bar mitzvah, because my first Yom Kippur, I threw up right after Suda Mafsekes. I was sick, so I didn't have any liquids in my body, and I started like going in and out of consciousness, I think. And my father was so worried, he forced me to drink on Yom Kippur in the shul. Anyway, yeah. He's not the same guy. He has different guys, yeah. Very good. Yeah, bring him back. That Rashi says Mefurish. There are different people. There's a different group. Maybe even the Gemara says Mefurish. Different group. Half the people go this way. Half the people go this way. Because his residence is right over here. And there. Okay, good point. Shkoyach. Says the Gemara, so what's going on here? Ella. In other words, when you have the ability to drink, then you don't need a drink. We had the famous Gemara, one of the most interesting Gemaras in Shas, here in our Masechta, that Rav, when he went to Dardish, whatever the name of the place is, he would scream out, they would announce before he came, Man Haveli Liyoma, who would be my wife for the one day I'm here. And the Gemara would go into the whole thing. Did he really marry her? Were they together? The point is, pas b'saloi, not to be over in Avera. On here, right here on this daf, in the Yerushalmi, Perek Shishi. What daf? Yudches. Levi Freeman remembers because he does the Zikr program. He says it's on daf Yudches. Beautiful. The Yerushalmi on the spot in Perek Hey, Mishnah Dalet, I think it is, our daf, says a beautiful lashon. He says, She'ein Yetzahara Ta'iv Elo Lamasha Asr. The Yetzahara doesn't have a taiva to trip somebody up, only on what's asr to the person. So when you give the kohen a bottle of water on Yom Kippur, the Yetzahara runs away. He has no taiva to trip this kohen up, so he walks away. The Rav who has a wife, he doesn't have a taiva to get Rav in trouble. When you don't have that pas b'saloi, then the Yetzahara comes in. It's telling you the psychology of the head, how the Yetzahara works, as the Yerushalmi. Another yisoid you see over here is, maybe not, okay, we'll talk about it later. Weiter. Says the Gemara. He would cut the string in half. Says the Gemara, let him tie the entire red string on the rock. Why does he put a little bit on the goat? Since there's a mitzvah to throw this goat off the mountain. What's going to happen is, as we're going to see on Amud Beis, a lot of people that love animals, especially people that own dogs, you're going to take a goat and throw this goat off a cliff. It doesn't make sense. Something's wrong with the Torah here. So what they do is they say, look, it already had a kapara. Look, the red string turned into white. You know what? I'm going to skip that one step. That it's a difficult step for me. I don't have the guts to throw him off the mountain. That's it. They're going to go weiter. So we need to make sure that he throws it off the mountain. Says the Gemara of Karno. So then put the whole red string on the goat. Zimnin the Gomeshle Lereshe Velavadaite. Sometimes the goat, as it's falling, bends its head, and you don't really see the red string, and you won't know if Klal Yisrael had a kapara or not. I have a picture. Why not? Here's the kohen. cutting the string in half or the whatever it is. And here it is. This is a shvacher picture, but this is the Pesach Ulam, and they put a white line. This is the string coming down in the entrance to the Ulam. And what are you singing over there? Mi Beis Kodshei HaKodashim. Okay, anyway, here we go. There's a white, here, they used to put it over here. Now, Hilbin, Hoyismeichim. If it turned from red to white, everybody's very happy. Loy Hilbin, if it didn't turn to white, Hoyatzevin, they would be very sad, and they would be embarrassed. Who was embarrassed? The Kehanim for not doing the thing, the Yisraelim. So he said, let's put it in the inside so nobody will see. They would sneak a peek and see whether or not it became white. Hilbin or Yismeichim, Hilbin or Yatzevim. Over here it doesn't say Mitzbaishin. They would be very sad. So then they said, you know what, let's do it all the way over there by the Azazel, and that's it. In the beginning they tied it inside the Ulam, and Klal Yisrael wasn't there. And once it reached the desert, it would turn white. And they would know that the mitzvah was done. Will be turned white like snow. The goat didn't reach even halfway down, and his limbs fell apart. His limbs fell apart. Could you benefit from the Ivarim after he falls off the cliff? One says it's mutar bahano, one says it's asur. Man do amud torin daf samach zayin Amud Beis sponsored neshama Uri Ben Mattisyahu, and for the success in Gashmius, and especially ruchnius of his grandchildren. D'chsiv ba midbar says v'shilach is a sar ba midbar, and it's an extra pasuk. So I know, as we see soon. Fine. So Memela, it's like the desert. It's hefker. In the pasuk, is the pasuk. V'nosa asar olav es kol avenoisam. The sar takes the burden of all of the averis al eretz gzeira. Gzeira means desolate. V'shilach is asar bamidbar. So l'chayr, these two words, one of them is extra. They're extra words. They're repetitive. Umandom asurim. Umandom asurim d'chsiv gzeira. So why is it repetitive? To tell us that it's asur. It's a lashon of isur, says Rashi. So then what does he do? It says it's asur. So then what does he do with the word midbar? Midbar means it's hefker. 3 psukim. I didn't have a chance to print. The rabbis that this idea of throwing a goat off a cliff is not unique to the Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim. Rather, they already did it in Noiv, V'Givoin, Shiloi, U'Beis Elamim. You have Noiv V'Givoin is 1, Shiloi is 2, and Beis Elamim, Yerushalayim. But this already happened beforehand. V'Idach, Hai Gzeira Ma'avidlei. So the one who says Midbar is Mutter, so Gzeira is a strong lashon. V'Bayalei L'Sanya, Gzeira and Gzeira Elachatucha, and that's why this is very important, that it should be cut away. You don't throw him off a mountain where he could roll down the mountain as has somewhat of an incline. There's no incline, it's chatoch, it's cut, like a cliff. The goat himself is gzeira, it breaks up into pieces as it falls down. This is beautiful. Gzeira, this is a lashon of gzeira. Because Baruch tells Klal Yisrael, you sometimes have a hard time understanding my Torah. All you need to know is it's a gzeira from me. You sometimes don't need to understand. You need to know that this is what I want you to do. You'll say, this is a weird thing to do, and there's some funny things in the Torah. This is one of them. Ani Hashem. Ani Hashem gizartev ein lecha reshus lahar bahen. You don't have permission to start asking questions over here. Many times you find those who ask questions, it's not the question that's bothering them as much as they already have something in their head going on, and they ask questions. The question never took somebody off the derech. It's usually something that happened afterwards. Omar Rava. Paraduma, that's right. Chuka, this idea of We don't understand. Paraduma, the guy that gets sprinkled becomes tar, the guy that sprinkles becomes tame. Some things we don't understand. One day we'll understand everything. It makes sense that the Avarim, once they fall down, once the goat hits the ground and he's over, you're allowed to benefit from it. Torah never said you should do something and somebody later on, a few days later, is going to stumble upon this goat and benefit from it, and he's going to be over in Aveira. And that's why the Minchas Chinuch I brought out yesterday asked the question, so since you're allowed to have hana from it, and you have to go and kill it if it didn't die when you throw it off, could you kill it through shchita and then benefit from its meat? Torah Rabbanan. Azazel. What does the word Azazel mean? Shi'eh az vikasha. The mountain should be very tough, so it kills him. Yachol by Yishuv, maybe could do it where people reside. Tamaloyim by Midbar. That's been the desert. How do you know from a cliff? Tamaloyim Gzeiro. Tanya Yidach. Another brayso. Azazel kasha shebaharim. Very tough mountain. B'chei oimer. Ves elei haaretz lokach. Okay, the tough ones. Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel. Azazel shemechaper al maisa uza va'azoel. It's mechaper on arayas. Very specific to arayas. We said that it's mechaper on all avonos of Klal Yisrael, specifically on arayas. What happened with uza va'azol? Uza va'azol were malachim who complained to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, giving look at them, look how they're acting, look what they're doing. So it says, Rashi says that it was achois, it was nama achois tuvakayin. And Hakadosh Baruch Hu told Uzzah and Azal, yeah, you think he'd do better? He takes malachim, sends them down, and they were nichshal. It's unbelievable. A malach was nichshal and arayis. A malach. So I saw it and I forgot who it is. Says, what does this have to do with Yom Kippur? Why do we need a kapara for Uzzah and Azal on Yom Kippur? He says beautifully. He says, we're telling Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shalom, even a malach sins. If you put malachim on this world, they're going to sin. So we're better than malachim? It's a tremendous taina. But there's another yesod here that you see, that a person should not put himself in a position that he says to himself, oh, I could be strong. I'll be strong. I'll overcome this thing. The malachim said, put us down there. Yeah, try us. And you know what? So the point, don't put yourself in that position. That's the trick. Not to get to that position. Unbelievable. There are a lot of things in the Torah that common sense dictates that you don't do. Logic, common sense, you don't need a Torah to tell you that you don't steal from your friend. There's mitzvahs that you don't need a Torah for. These are them. You need a Torah to say that you shouldn't worship another God. There's only one God. So of course you can't worship another entity. Now this one I found it a little hard. Maybe it's talking about Eshes Ish, that misvar, you shouldn't take somebody else's wife. But other Gilui Arayis, and I think they discuss it. Perhaps not, because I think here they take out our Gilui Arayis right here. Dalid. Yeah, Shemoni Problem. The Choshev Gilui Arayis besug mitzvahs chukiyos. Yes, yeah, I saw this yesterday. Fine. So the Ram, according to the Ram, this comes out because it's not misvara. Ushvichas damim, killing. Obviously, you shouldn't kill logically. V'gezel u'birkas Hashem. And Birkas Hashem is the opposite, it's Lashon Saginor. It means cursing Hashem, it's obvious you shouldn't do. There are things that the Satan gets into your head and tells you, listen, kaparas, well, you take a chicken, you go like this, it's so stupid, you shake a lula, like, what are you doing? Achilas chazer, what's the big deal to eat chazer? It doesn't matter, it's healthy, it's good. Ulevisha shatnas. And I'm just laughing because yesterday I was learning the Chavrusa Shatnas, and a guy comes over and goes, I check Shatnas, and I know somebody here in the neighborhood, he's a doctor, he could walk next to somebody who wears Shatnas, and he feels the energy of Shatnas. So I told him, I said, I know somebody in this neighborhood that could heal cancer over the phone. Somebody is on this table whose wife uses this person. And I said, I have a talent that's greater than both of them. If you bring this woman that heals cancer over the phone, or this guy that feels shatnez just by walking by, I could tell in a second that he's Meshuggah, without even telling me that he does this. V'chalitzas Yoma cures cancer over the phone. No, she called me up. She goes, I heard that your sister-in-law is Machla. I'd like to know her name. I could do it over the phone. It's like, Bishleim, what?
How much did you want?
For you, special price. Yeah. I take all the emails. What? Don't push it. The phone is one thing. The energy goes through the lines. Under the ocean. I know. Okay, all those people I insulted. I made fun of the Baal Tshuva, made fun of my wife, made fun of the guys that do and heal people. It works for some people, not for me. You have to believe in it in order for it to. Many books, many things were written on it. Weiter. V'chalitzas Yivama. Also, spitting on a shoe, and she becomes not married, she's not connected to him. V'taharis mitzoyro, v'soyer mishtaleach, I brought this down for the whatever. You can take this and dip it in water and sprinkle it on mitzoyro, and he becomes tar. How does that work? And maybe you'll say that this is nonsense. Ani Hashem, I instituted these halachas, these things work. Some of them you can even understand physically, some of them not, and you don't have reshus to think about them, to be mahar and to doubt them. So now the Gemara is going to bring a third shita. We saw two in the Mishnah. When does the Mekayim become tamei? When do his begodim become tamei? The person bringing the goat, he becomes tamei. But those accompanying the mishaleach, they do not become tamei, even though they're in the same proximity to the goat as that guy. No, only one person becomes tamei. Perhaps when he just leaves the azara. No, he has to be on his way. He's still in the Azara, he didn't go anywhere. Maybe it's only until he comes to the cliff. The extra vav. This is Rabbi Yehuda's shita, this is how he learns it from the extra vav. Not inside the Beis Hamikdash, but he has to leave Yerushalayim. Then it becomes Tamei. He has to. It's Azazel. Azazel is the place. This is called Azazel. Right over here is Azazel. There's a nameplate. This is the neighborhood of Azazel. When do you have to wash your clothing? When do you become Tamei? When you're in Azazel. It's a hekesh. Reb Shimon Omer, so this is a third sheet that we didn't see in the Mishnah. This we didn't have in the Mishnah. In the Mishnah we had pushing the goat off the cliff and leaving Yerushalayim. And over here you have when you get to the cliff, before you push it off. When you throw it off from its head. He's metame begodim. Have a wonderful day.